Welcome to the 5th video in the Colored Pencil course, brought to you by thevirtualinstructor.com. In this video, we're going to take a look at using color theory in your drawings. In this module, we'll take a look at how color theory might be used in a colored pencil drawing to enhance the finished drawing. Along the way, we'll explore color mixing. What is color theory? Color theory is a complex subject matter. Huge manuals have been written on the subject. While having a comprehensive understanding of color theory will help in developing strong images, typically a basic understanding is sufficient for success. The basics of color theory. Color theory can be simplified into 3 distinct parts: the color wheel, color values, and color schemes. What is the color wheel? The color wheel is the color spectrum bent into a circle. Each color has a designated position on the wheel that results in defined color relationships. The first set of colors are primary colors. The primary colors can be used to mix all of the other colors on the color wheel. These colors are red, yellow, and blue. While using a pre-manufactured color wheel might be a good route to go, it's even better to create your own color wheel. By doing so, you get experience with mixing and creating your own colors with colored pencils. In this case, we'll create our own color wheel, starting with the primaries. We'll use Copenhagen blue as our primary blue. Next, we'll move on to crimson red for our primary red. Here we're going to apply 2 layers of a medium application, followed by an application of the colorless blender. Our third primary color is yellow. In this case, we'll use canary yellow. What are secondary colors? Secondary colors are made by mixing equal parts of 2 primary colors. These colors are orange, green, and purple. We'll begin by mixing a green. First, we'll use the blue and put a light application. We'll follow that with a heavy application of the yellow. As the wax from the yellow pencil moves the blue around, the colors will mix to create green. You may find that you need to adjust the color of the green by adding more blue or yellow. Next, we'll mix an orange. We'll use red and yellow to make the orange. Here again, we'll begin with the red and put a light application. We'll follow this up with a lighter hue, the yellow, with a heavy application. The colors will mix on the surface because of the heavy application, creating an orange. The third secondary color is purple, and this color is made by mixing red and blue together. We'll begin with a light application of blue, followed by a heavier application of red. We won't bear down as hard as we did with the yellow here when mixing the other colors, because we'll use the colorless blender for the burnishing here. You also might find that you need to adjust these colors as well. In this case, I'm going to make the purple a little cooler by adding more blue. What are tertiary colors? The tertiary colors are made by mixing equal parts of a primary color and its adjacent secondary color. These colors are red-orange, yellow-orange, yellow-green, blue-green, blue-purple, and red-purple. We'll start by mixing a blue-green. We'll first mix a green and simply add more blue to it. So we'll mix the green the same way we did earlier, by layering blue followed by a heavy application of yellow. Then we'll continue to add blue until we arrive at a nice blue-green. Next, we'll create a yellow-green. Because we want this color to be more yellow than green, we'll begin by adding yellow first. Then we'll gently and lightly layer the blue on top. This application is followed by a heavy application of yellow. The next color we'll mix is blue-purple. We'll begin by layering blue on the surface first, followed by a light to medium application of red. Because this is blue-purple, we'll add more blue to the purple that we mix. And we'll use a colorless blender to burnish the area. Next, we'll mix a red-purple. And because we want the red-purple to have more red in it, we'll begin by layering red first, followed by the application of blue. We'll continue to add red to the surface until we're happy with the red-purple that we've created. A colorless blender is used to burnish the color into the surface. The next tertiary color we'll mix is red-orange. We'll begin by layering red, followed by a heavy application of yellow, and then a medium application of red. The last tertiary color is yellow-orange. Because we want the color to be more yellow than orange, we'll start with yellow on the surface. Then we'll lightly add the red, and then we'll finish with a heavier application of yellow. And then our color wheel is complete. There are colors that aren't on the color wheel. These are neutral colors. Neutral colors are not found on the color wheel and do not affect the overall color scheme of a drawing. These colors, when mixed with colors from the color wheel, affect the value or intensity of the color. White, black, gray, and brown are considered neutral colors. You may find that some manufacturers produce neutral colors that are associated with either a warm or cool color temperature. For example, Prismacolor produces both warm and cool grays. While there is no hard fast rule for using warm and cool grays, it may be advised to use a warm gray to change the intensity of a color that is a warm color, and it may also be a good idea to use a cool gray to change the intensity of an object that is a cool color. Value was covered in the last module, but it is part of color theory, so we'll review it briefly here. Value is the darkness or lightness of a color. The value of a color is affected by mixing neutrals with that color. Light values are referred to as tints and are made by mixing white with the color, while dark values are referred to as shades and are made by mixing blue and brown with the color. What are color schemes? Color schemes are arrangements of colors based on their locations on the color wheel. Color schemes can be used to affect the mood and feel of the drawing. A monochromatic color scheme is made up of only one color and the tints and shades of that color. For example, if we explored a monochromatic color scheme, we may just use red and the tints and shades of red. In this sketch, we'll draw the entire scene using a crimson red initially. We'll put more pressure on the pencil in areas where the value is darker, and concentrate on creating as much of a full range of value as possible with just the crimson red pencil. Since this is a sketch and done purely for demonstration purposes, we won't put too much of an emphasis on the details in the drawing. Instead, just the broad areas of value and color that are observed. We'll continue to push the observed value in the reference using a Crimson Lake color. This is still a red, just a darker value of red. We'll push the darker values even further by using a dark umber pencil to make the values darker in the shadowed areas. Using a monochromatic color scheme is the ultimate in limiting your color palette. It can create a harmonious and unified image. An analogous color scheme is made up of 3 to 5 colors that are located next to each other on the color wheel. An example of an analogous color scheme is red, red purple, and purple. Here are red, red purple, and purple next to each other. Another example may be to use blue, blue-green, green, yellow-green, and yellow. This is what we'll do in the second sketch. In this second example, we'll use blue, yellow, and green to create an analogous color scheme. The blue, yellow, and green will naturally mix to create an analogous color scheme that's made up of yellow, yellow-green, green, blue-green, and blue. We'll begin the sketch initially the same way as we did the monochromatic color scheme, using a blue. We'll simply put more pressure on the pencil in areas where the shadows are darker. Now we'll use canary yellow and begin adding areas of yellow. Since yellow is a warmer and lighter valued color, we're going to add the yellow in areas where there's highlights and lighter values. As the yellow is added, some areas will naturally burnish, creating areas of green. We won't rely on the mixing alone, however, and we'll use green to enhance the drawing further. In some areas, we'll add heavy pressure with the green, encouraging mixing of the blue and yellow. We'll also darken up the areas of shadow a bit further by using a dark umber. Analogous color schemes create harmonious and unified images, but also provide contrast. Complementary colors are colors found directly across from each other on the color wheel. These colors provide high contrast. Examples include red and green, blue and orange, yellow and purple, and red, orange, and blue-green. Blue and orange are directly across from each other on the color wheel, as are red and green, and yellow and purple. So let's take a look at how a complementary color scheme might play out in a colored pencil drawing. Here again, we'll sketch the same scene as we did previously with the other 2 examples. In this case, we're going to use blue and orange. We'll begin the sketch by drawing out the scene using a blue. Here again, we'll add more pressure to the pencil in areas where the value is darker. Once our initial drawing has been laid down, we can go back and use the orange, which is the warmer of the 2 colors, to create the highlighted areas. The orange and the blue will naturally contrast with each other. We'll also use a dark umber to darken up the shadows further, just as we did in the previous 2 examples. Using complementary colors in your compositions can lead to dynamic contrast between colors and result in exciting and interesting drawings. These are 3 different possibilities for using color schemes in your composition. Of course, other possibilities exist. Split complementary color schemes are made up of a color and its complement's closest analogous colors. An example is blue, red-orange, and yellow-orange. Blue is directly across from orange, meaning that orange is the complement of blue. If we look at the 2 colors that are closest to orange, yellow-orange and red-orange, we can find the split complementary color scheme: blue, red-orange, and yellow-orange. Warm colors are colors that are associated with things that are warm. These colors are red-purple, red, red-orange, orange, yellow-orange, yellow, and yellow-green. By taking a look at these colors on the color wheel, you'll notice that these colors are also analogous to one another. Cool colors are colors that are associated with things that are cool. These colors are green, blue, blue purple, and purple. Just like warm colors, cool colors are also analogous to each other. Color triads are made up of 3 colors that are equidistant from each other on the color wheel. An example of a color triad is red, yellow, and blue, the primary colors. Another example is orange, green, and purple, another color triad. Color tetrads are made of 4 colors that are equidistant from each other on the color wheel. An example of a color tetrad is blue, orange, yellow-green, and red-purple. Here's a look at that relationship on the color wheel. Knowledge of the color wheel and the color relationships that are created by the color wheel can be used to enhance colors that you may use in your drawings. To illustrate this point, we'll take a look at 3 different spheres. In the first sphere, we'll only use green, adding more pressure to the pencil in areas of shadow. We'll also add a cast shadow underneath the sphere to aid in the realism. We'll burnish all of these areas using a colorless blender. In the second sphere, we'll use analogous colors to green to enhance the overall look, feel, and illusion of form in the sphere. We'll start by adding blue in the areas of shadow on the sphere. Next, we'll use yellow in the areas of highlight and midtone on the sphere. In areas where the yellow and blue overlap, they will naturally start to mix green. Then lastly, we'll use the local color of green to go over the top of these areas. As we do so, the area of shadow and highlight becomes more interesting. It also makes the sphere appear more three-dimensional and realistic. We can smooth out the transitions between colors by burnishing the sphere using a colorless blender. Here again, we'll also add an area of cast shadow underneath the sphere. Complementary colors can also be used to enhance the overall look of an object. Red is the complement of green, so we'll begin by adding red in the areas of shadow on the sphere. Next, we'll layer over the red using a heavy to medium application of the green. In areas in which the green overlaps the red, the shadow becomes more intense and more interesting. The illusion of form of the sphere is enhanced further by using the red in this case. The colors can continually be layered until the desired effect is achieved. Here again, we'll lay a bit of cast shadow behind the sphere, using a combination of blue and brown, and then burnishing those areas with a colorless blender. Here's what was discussed in this module. We took a look at the basics of color theory, which included the color wheel, color values, and color schemes. We also took a look at mixing colors from the primary colors. We explored using color theory to enhance colors used in a drawing. And we also looked at using color schemes to enhance mood or feeling in a drawing. In the next module, we'll take a look at composing a scene and start work on a larger colored pencil drawing.